the Starks and the Clarks and the Beausarges, those are all oystermen or shrimpermen or fishermen and kinfolks. So family business was commonplace, and that's how you survived it.
Giàu lên hay là bill lên tôi không sao. My daddy think he don't worry about all the bill. And later on he got like 2 boats. And all the sons, he don't got no job, they don't got no job. They can go down to the boat, work with family.
Your father was a fisherman by trade?
Yeah,
And that had to be back
in 1800.
before ice?
Yeah, before me. He's fishing before my time. My grandfather used to build skiffs and sell them. We lived right by the bay, right on Back Bay. We had chickens, we had everything. And Biloxi was nothing but farm when I was a kid. Everybody had gardens.
Everybody had a
You
few
go back and
pigs.
pick okra and tomatoes anytime you wanted. Everybody had them in the yard.
People just run around the neighborhood and come home at night.
Everybody went swimming out here on the beach. There were places along the beach that had water slides, places where older people, older than me at that time, could go dancing and have parties, and everything was concentrated along the beach.
We knew everybody. We swam with their kids. We'd jump off these big high piers and in the alligator gar infested waters and skinny dip in there, and we got along good.
All the fishermen were big into the blessing of the fleet, you know. It was something you'd done since time eternal, you know. I had 4 daughters, and whichever one that went into high school, it was her job to decorate the boat. It was really good because it was something for them to do. My youngest daughter one time was a shrimp queen, you know. And they was interviewing these judges, said, honey, said, I want to ask you something. Said, all these other girls, you tell me things, they don't know nothing. She said, well, I worked on a boat. She said, I used to pull them little black flat fish out of them trolls to bled between my fingers. Well, I never did see that, but that's what she'd say. They all had a taste of it, you know.
The water is the richest natural resource that Biloxi has.
Oh yeah, these big factories had all these big steam whistles. 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, they'd blow these whistles. Time for them to go to work, where there would be oysters or shrimp. These big canneries, they would blow these whistles in the morning, and people would all come out. It's not like it is now. Everybody didn't have automobiles. They used to walk. We had these camps, we call them, these seafood camps. It was all around this place.
And each one of these camps represent that one factory.
Yes.
And every one of them had a whistle.
A whistle,
So
that's right. They blow that whistle, they
at 3
know.
o'clock in the morning, you know what factory it was.
That's right.
That's the one I worked.
That's the one you
They can
gonna work.
recognize the
Hey,
whistle.
y'all get up
They
and
can
come on
recognize
to
the
work.
whistle.
And the people knew when they heard that whistle, they had work, get up, go to the factory, it was time to work. And this, you know, the whistle would blow like at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning. They would hear their whistle and go to work.
They had Bohemian, all these Polacks come in from Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay. They used to work there and they come here to work.
Croatian population, a large French population. There's a huge Irish population, in addition to a good-sized Italian group.
The local mix of people, again with the French and Spanish first, and then the Yugoslavs as they're called, and then with the Vietnamese. It's just been a very rich and different cultural mix of people. A lot of different celebrations, a lot of different customs, everything from Mardi Gras to Chinese New Year.
Everybody got along good. You know, you'd have a fight now and then, but that was normal, you know.
He had his clannish, you know, its clans, its neighborhoods, and you know, at one time, if you lived in the east end of Biloxi and you went to Back Bay in Biloxi, you had to have to, you know, it was a fight because you wasn't from that area. You know, they had Biloxi divided up in about 4 different sections, you know. And when we was real young, I mean, it was not uncommon. And people used to love to fight. I mean, that was pastime, you know, in Biloxi. And sometimes people still talk about it in Gulfport about how they wouldn't come to Biloxi because they'd have to fight, but it was a rough place. Come up the hard way, but it made a lot of good people, it really did.
And even though that was such a hard life working in the factories back then, and I mean, most of the children, they would go to school a half a day and then they would go work in the factories, or they'd go to school, they'd go work in the factories early, then go to school, then come back and work in the factories.
I would meet the train at the railway station around 4 o'clock, and we'd put crab meat and shrimp in barrels, and we'd cover them with burlap sack. They'd load it on the train, and they would re-ice it every 200 miles. And it was shipping to Baltimore, Washington, wherever, you know.
Our plant was about 2 miles, maybe 3 miles from the railroad station.
Right.
So when they left that afternoon, they could be at the rail. Of course, traffic wasn't what it is now, and they could be there really quickly, and they know when the train got there, and they rolled them on immediately and shipped it off. And they did this for many, many, many years.
Every time, once in a while, I would miss the train, and Ocean Springs was just across the bridge, so I'd have to run over there and catch the train over there in Ocean Springs while my daddy would fuss.
They thought that was the greatest thing ever was, because until the trains and stuff, it was just whatever you could do local and sell and what you could do. So when the train service come in, it helped them create a market for this product. So they could have named the train the Seafood Train from Biloxi. And that's when Biloxi was known as the shrimp capital of the world, the seafood capital of the world, because they did that with oysters, shrimp, and crab meat.
There's nowhere in the world that grows shrimp and seafood like the Mississippi Sound and the Gulf of Mexico. You can go, I don't care where you go. You can't, they can't tell me that. They can't tell thousands of people like me that know seafood and no flavor. So that's what happened there too, you know, about the seafood capital of the world. It has shot it and gone, but we can be proud of that title. No one else ever had that, but we did. And we, you know, we was amongst, you know, the people that contributed to that fact. And that's a fact.
The point made Biloxi, but now point is nothing really now. Katrina come in and wiped us all out.